Hey guys, Zol here, and today I want to talk about the best chemistry textbooks that you can buy that are good if you are just looking for something else past what your classes are teaching you, or if you want to learn chemistry on your own, whether to brush up before you take a class or if you're completely on your own. All these books are great to just learn what you need in a class or to teach yourself chemistry. So let's learn about the best chemistry textbooks that you can buy and hop right into it. Now, before I start, be sure to comment down below your favorite chemistry textbooks, or if there's any chemistry textbooks that you disagree with and you think there's a better one than the one I list. Please comment it down below, both for me and anyone looking at this video or in the comments for the best chemistry textbook to teach themselves chemistry. Now, let's start off with our general chemistry intro chem courses, and the textbook I highly recommend for this is going on a website called OpenStax. OpenStax is from a team out of Rice University, and what they've done is they've compiled a bunch of completely peer-reviewed textbooks for anybody to use, and you can go on their website, view it online, or download it, and it's a great resource if you're looking to save money on a textbook. All of it completely free and really good content in it. Now, these don't go for higher level chem classes, but they're really good for intro classes, and they have them in a multitude of fields, not just chemistry. So be sure to look at OpenStax first for a textbook, because they just have free STEM textbooks for anybody to use. Now, I've used these and checked them out not just for chemistry, but for prereqs like my physics classes. I've also checked these out, and they're great textbooks. If you're looking for something a bit different, there's also Tro's Chemistry Molecular Approach, which is a classic chemistry textbook. It's really good. They break down all the problems step by step, just what you need to look at, and they also just have everything you need to know in a Gen Chem class, and there's lots of practice problems. The one thing about this textbook is it is expensive, and so that's kind of the trade-off you're having. Check out OpenStax first. If it's not for you, I recommend Chemistry, a molecular approach for Gen Chem classes. Now moving on to organic chemistry, and I have some very strong opinions on these organic chemistry textbooks. You do not need an actual textbook for organic chemistry. There are two books you need for all your organic chemistry 1 and 2, and they are perfect. They have everything you need. Practice problems, reactions, everything. They got me through my organic chemistry classes, and even though I bought some other organic chem textbooks completely unnecessary, these are the only two books you need. That is David Klein's Organic Chemistry as a Second Language. There are a first semester topic book and a second semester topic book, and they are perfect. There's also a textbook that's just David Klein's Organic Chemistry. You don't need this. It goes over the same stuff, and it's more in depth, and it'll have more information, of course, but it's a lot more expensive, and all you need for those classes is knowing the reactions and having practice problems. And Organic Chemistry as a Second Language breaks this all into its smallest little pieces and makes it easy to understand, and has everything you need. They're small books, they're not full textbooks, they're pretty thin, and they're pretty cheap, so you're not paying as much as a full textbook. They have everything you need, they're easy to take places, and they're just the perfect organic chemistry textbook. I highly recommend, even if your professor is recommending one of the big OChem textbooks, unless you need it to do your homework with practice problems, highly recommend these books. They break everything down super simply, and I love these books. I recommend them to anyone who's looking to teach themselves, or even if they're taking a class, I recommend these for organic chemistry. Next on the list is your instrumental analysis or analytical chemistry class, and Skoog has some textbooks on these. There's both an instrumental analysis and analytical chemistry if you're doing the lower and higher level. And this is a good textbook. There's practice problems, break stuff down that you need to know. But honestly, for this class, unless you're completely teaching it to yourself or you just have a god-awful professor, a textbook isn't like super necessary. I found most of the topics and most of the problems in this class are basic enough that lectures were good enough. But if you really need this textbook because you're teaching it to yourself, I do recommend Skoog's textbooks on the matter. Next is moving on to inorganic chemistry, and for this class, before I recommend a textbook, unless of course you're teaching it to yourself, again, I found the most helpful thing in this class is just getting a molecular modeling kit and going on the dozens of websites online that will have modeling, that software where you can make molecules and make lattices and be able to view them from different angles and see like the intricacies and all, because inorganic is a super visual based thing, especially with crystal lattices and point groups. So before you get anything with a textbook, I highly recommend making sure you have a model kit and going on those websites with software. They're everywhere. You can just look them up. If you really do need a textbook, there's Tarr's Inorganic and Meisler's, and those are both good books, plenty of practice problems, basic textbooks about inorganic chemistry. Next is the dreaded physical chemistry. And for physical chemistry, I recommend Macquarie's PChem, A Molecular Approach. It is this big red, super thick book that looks like a massive brick. And that's because it contains everything you need to know for both PChem 1, PChem 2. If you take advanced PChem, any PChem you're going to take in undergrad, this book will have it in it. Now, a lot of people recommend Atkins Physical Chemistry. That's a really popular recommendation, but it is way more expensive, and this textbook has everything you need to know about it. So I'd recommend going Macquarie's PChem, A Molecular Approach. I think it's a great textbook, way cheaper, and has everything you're going to need for PChem. It has practice problems. It is, of course, a PChem textbook, and it's super dense, so I don't recommend just going through and reading it. It's very, very much a reference textbook where if you're kind of confused or you need a different view on the subject, or even just to reference some kind of integral or math thing, you can go check this textbook. It's super helpful too because, as we know, PChem is super math heavy, and if you're not super brushed up on your calculus or anything you need to know, there are sections throughout this textbook that have basically a math training section, and they'll break down any of the math in super simple and accelerated terms just to review the math for you before you get into the chapter where you're going to need it. So I think that's a really cool way to teach PChem because a lot of people aren't brushed up on math, and that's the biggest struggle of taking PChem. And so it has math sections to break down all the math you need to know for PChem, and that's also super helpful if you're teaching the subject to yourself. Plenty of practice problems, everything. This is a good book, good investment. Buy it, keep it. It has everything you need to know about PChem. So that's my PChem recommendation. Now, of course, there's plenty of other textbooks on a lot of little subfields of chemistry like biochem or even more niche textbooks, but I haven't gone over a lot of those textbooks, and in a lot of those classes that I took, I didn't actually end up using textbooks because I had good lectures and all from my professors. So I don't really have any great recommendations for those smaller scale 400 level classes or even biochem because I didn't really use a textbook very much in those classes. Now, I'm sure there's good recommendations. If you guys have any recommendations for upper level chem textbooks, be sure to drop them in the comments below. I also think in those one-time textbook classes, it's a lot harder for me to go and spend a bunch on a textbook because I will only be using it for a semester. But I hope you guys liked the video. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.